York's classic rock, Q1043.
Welcome to Maria's Mutts and Stuff. And with me, well, this is very exciting because not only are they return guests, plus a new one, but they're actually here in the studios. So welcome. I have Kathy Galati and Erica Kuberski from Positive Tales in Brooklyn and Dr. Brett Levitsky from Veterinary Emergency Referral Group. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you.
So the last time I had to look it up because you are return guests, and the last time Erica and Kathy were here, it was back in September of 2018. Crazy. Time is so. What's happened in 6 years?
A lot.
A lot.
I mean, personally.
Well, yeah. Well, we can get into that too. But, so tell me, what has Positive Tales? What have some of the highlights you've done in the past? Even in the past year.
I mean, I think probably some of the more, we continue to work on our emergency cases, and there have been a lot of those to work on. But probably since 2018, we've introduced our pop-up clinics, where we do a lot of pop-up veterinary clinics in underserved areas of New York City.
Sure.
So we'll go with a team of veterinarians, veterinary technicians, and set up, and we'll probably see about 150 families and do wellness and vaccines.
Okay.
And I think that's probably been the most, as far as us being able to see more clients. I think that's been the biggest.
That's huge. How often do you do the pop-up clinics?
We probably do them, I would say 6 to 8 times a year.
Oh, that's a lot. And of course, you have volunteers that come with you.
Yeah, we're really lucky. We are still 100% volunteers.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And Dr. Brett, do you go along with them on these pop-up clinics or?
So I'm an emergency veterinarian
Okay.
at Verg, and that's where we see all of the emergency cases that we deal with Positive Tales.
Okay.
But I will say it's very exciting. The more pop-up clinics we have, we do more preventative care there. So the thought being is it keeps them from coming in to have to see me in the emergency room.
Right. It's almost like when people take their vitamins rather than just go to the doctor because they're not healthy anymore. No, that's great. So for you as an emergency doctor, what is the biggest emergency that people have with their pets? I mean, is there one that's more like something that's more common or?
All pet owners know that their dogs and their cats can get very curious and eat things they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And some of those things pass and some of them don't, and they get stuck in the GI tract and require surgery.
Yeah.
And that can be a bit costly.
Sure. Yeah, so that would make sense. And I think sometimes, and not to blame the owners, but sometimes I will, I think sometimes people forget to pet-proof their house and apartments. And my thought has always been, well, you'll do a certain thing for kids. It's the same thing for pets.
It absolutely is. The thing is, though, dogs and cats, they can get into places that you may think you have your apartment pet-proofed, and then someone will say, well, I haven't seen that ball for years because it was under the couch somewhere and the dog or cat went under there and
they
found
find it,
swallowed it, and then they're back to see us.
Yeah, I mean, I would have agreed with you until I got my most recent dog.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's a tank, so everything eventually passes, but he has
so what is he eating?
I mean, I don't want to embarrass myself, but
that's
he
okay.
most recently
it's not your fault. You're busy.
He ate a peanut butter, a glass jar and all.
What? The glass jar?
Yeah, so
I never heard of that.
I'll get edited out.
And I will say her husband is a veterinarian also.
Right. That I do remember.
Embarrass him.
Okay.
I know.
But okay. So wait. I can't get my head around this. How big was this peanut butter jar?
You know,
like a how big is this dog?
He's about 80 pounds.
Oh, okay. So he has like a massive mouth and jaw, I would assume, right? That's powerful because glass. I mean, I couldn't. Not that I can't understand, but maybe a plastic jar of peanut butter.
No,
but
I mean,
okay,
he's. I don't understand him a lot.
Okay,
we're
you're still getting to like. How old is he?
He's probably about 8 or 9 now.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean he's awesome. But
yeah, of course he is. No, he's a dog, of course.
No, but he's only with you, what, 2 years?
He's only with us 2 years.
Oh, okay. So you're still getting to know each other. It's like a new relationship.
Yeah. we were in that honeymoon period.
He's still in right, and now he's feeling more comfortable. So he's like, right. So he's like,
deep.
yeah, I'm feeling more comfortable now. So
my
I'm going
friends
to
are
eat peanut
advising
butter.
me that maybe this might.
Oh my goodness. So he's okay though.
Oh yeah,
so I mean, I'm just because he I guess passed it. He didn't have to have surgery for it. He like pooped out the peanut butter and the glass jar.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm fascinated by this. I'm sorry.
Well, we took him in for an X-ray. And found that there was a lot of glass in there, and then
in his belly.
Yeah, I mean, and then the expert said, just let it pass.
Don't point at me. I know it was Justin, her husband.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I have a vet question on that. So as a vet, if you looked at that X-ray, like, how do you know the glass isn't going to rip his stomach and say, let it pass? I mean, obviously, you know that, where we would be like, oh, my God. But
it's a common question. People really freak out if they.
Sure.
We've seen dogs and cats swallow needles, razor blades, glass.
Sure.
A lot of times it can pass as long as it doesn't form an obstruction. And basically, the intestines are just a tube of muscle, and they just move things along.
Right.
If they're able to do that, the GI tract is pretty resilient and can pass.
Wow.
Pretty
See, I would
surprising
never
things.
think that, because I would think as it passed, it would cut. It'd make cuts.
Right.
But it doesn't.
Surprisingly, if a cat or a dog swallows a piece of thread, that's usually more devastating on the GI tract because it gets stuck in the stomach, and then as it moves along, it acts like a little saw versus a piece of glass that just kind of moves along, maybe causes a little irritation.
Wow, I would never think that. That's why I'm not a vet.
I knew about the needle and thread. My cat ate a needle and thread.
Well, the needle I can understand, but I mean,
the thread wrapped around his tongue, and then he tried to pass it, and it was coming out of both ends, and thankfully surgery at AMC got him.
Wow.
There was no Berg at the time. This was decades ago.
Wow. But, okay, so now with string, that's different than grass. Because I know sometimes my last dog used to eat grass, and then sometimes if he was, like, going nuts, like salad bar, it would be like, okay, I'm kind of like pulling it out of his butt. Gross. But if you're a dog owner, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Growing up, it was tinsel for us.
Oh, yes.
We'd eat tinsel off the tree.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Oh, it's Christmas. Stars pooping tinsel.
But that's not as bad as like a thread,
correct,
because it's grass, because it's natural.
Right, and it's softer and it's shorter.
Right.
The thread can be really long and get anchored under the tongue, and then really it makes its way all the way down to the colon.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It makes. It just always makes me laugh about dogs, because I know more about dogs than cats, but I think dogs are so smart, and then they'll do something like that, and I'm like, you're a dog.
Some are smarter than others, just
Some
like
are.
people.
Yes, that's true. And we can't say it, but is it true that, well, it's probably just more of an opinion than fact, are certain breeds actually smarter than others?
Oh, yes, it's
definitely
a fact. It's not opinion.
It's not? It really
100%.
It is? Okay, all right. All right.
I'm not going to
disclose it, but yeah. Right, because everybody thinks
breeds.
that their dog is the smartest, you know that, or the cutest. And of course, we should think our own dogs are the cutest.
Correct.
But it's true though, right? Certain breeds are smarter.
100%.
I knew it. I knew it. And you heard it here.
and I'm voting it's the mixed breeds.
Oh yeah, I would believe that.
Yeah,
well, yes, because you get the best of both worlds,
correct.
right? Like you get the better genes from the smart and smart.
I mean,
sort of.
Your parents aren't related. It's got to be better, right?
Well, that would be true too.
Very true.
And mutts rule anyway. Yeah, and mutts are the best, right?
We love mutts.
We love mutts. We do. That's why this is Maria's Mutts and Stuff.
That's why we're here.
That's right. Okay, so we're getting into November, or it is November, and you have this is a big month. Spay and Neuter month. So let's talk about that, because I know over the years the numbers are just incredible to me that people still think, and I guess it's because we should all think that our dogs and cats are the best and the cutest and the most adorable, and let's make more. But more cats and dogs are not needed in the world, right? So what do you think it is about people not wanting to spay and neuter their dog? And I know you probably all have your own opinions. So what do you think it is, Kathy?
I think it's a little bit of what you're saying, that they're like, oh, my dog is so cute.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what their puppies would look like, or their kittens would look like. And oh, my neighbor has the female and I have the male, or it could be a money producing reason.
Yeah.
So it could be for so many reasons. some people worry about the actual spay neuter is going to change the dog or cat's personality.
Oh my God, I've heard that a million
Right.
times, and that's not true.
No,
So-
not
true at all.
And I think that it's so layered for people.
Mhm.
Some, I don't want to go there, but I think sometimes it could be a little bit of a male connection to a male dog.
I've heard that too. Yes. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I think make people. Some of it is cost. I
Mhm,
mean,
mhm.
spay neuter is.
It's
not-
expensive sometimes,
It's
yeah.
definitely an investment.
Sure.
And people weigh it out and they say, well, my dog or cat's not going to be around another dog or cat. Why would I bother?
Right.
But then they don't think about the health concerns.
Sure.
Or they don't think about if their dog or cat gets out. And
Right,
runs
right,
away.
right.
No
Sure.
one wants that. So a lot of it is education
Mhm. Mhm.
and making people aware the importance of it.
Right.
It's so multi-layered.
Yeah.
And in the end, your dog or cat is going to be better for it.
Sure. And I mean, I know sometimes, and people have said it, and I'm sure all of you have heard it, where people, but I'll ask you, Dr. Brett, that people say, oh, well, it's not healthy for me to neuter my dog. And it's going to cause cancer for him to not be neutered. But that's not true.
No, I mean there are a lot of
Conspiracy theories about it. And that's been going on,
correct. Medical
for many
fallacies.
years. Yes.
Right. The bottom line is early spaying or neutering can be huge, not only hugely beneficial, but from a cost perspective, having to spay or neuter them when they're older, when they've developed a problem, let's say a testicular tumor or a pyometra, which is an infected uterus. The cost
I'm sure,
is way higher.
Of course.
Plus the medical risk for that patient when they're young and they're healthy and it's an elective procedure, they're
Sure.
in and out.
Yes.
They could be in the hospital for days and on multiple medications, and their chance of not making it actually increases as they get older.
Right. Right. So, yeah. So basically it's people need to spay and neuter. Like what other not falsehoods, but myths are there that we can tell people that's not true?
I mean, I think maybe also another important thing to falsehoods is that, I think right now we have a lot of people who are interested in it for us, who are interested in the procedure. And the problem is that it is too expensive for.
Right.
So, I do think the education is out there, and I think, but I think the problem is that we're telling everyone spay and neuter, but then we're not really giving them affordable options.
Right.
So,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And so, I think the average cost of a dog spay might be $800 to $1,000,
Which is very expensive.
Yeah, because a lot of our clients make $40,000 a year.
Right. No,
And
that's expensive. That's like their rent. That's, groceries and everything else. Yeah.
So we, at any given time, probably have 150 people on our waiting list to find a spot.
Right. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's great that the education has, and I think that's another thing that comes up at our clinics. And another reason we love doing that is that we give that people that personal interaction with their medical team. And somebody who's maybe on the fence is going to leave that day and
Sure.
they're going to be convinced that that's what they need to do.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
I'm always amazed when a dog comes in for a pyometra, the infected uterus. The clients will oftentimes ask, "Could I have prevented this?"
And you're like,
I have to kind of bite my tongue, like, of course.
Yeah.
But they just don't know. You can prevent it by having them spayed early on.
Sure.
So no uterus, no infection.
Right. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I always say, and I know it's mean to say it, but that I think sometimes, just like people, I think sometimes not everybody should be a parent, right? So I think people need to take a test, just a little test to see if you're okay to. But I feel the same way about having a cat or a dog, because I think something like that, yes, you could have prevented it if you did something that was so simple. And I know many times, you can find low cost spaying and neutering. So I don't know. Not that people should take a test or have I mean, you can get a dog license, but I think sometimes you might need to take a test. But that's just me. I know it's a little extreme, but
No, I would agree with that.
yeah.
I like the
Thank
test
you. Thank you,
idea.
Kathy. Thank you. Don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, I see people do stuff on the street with their dogs, and I'm like, oh my! I'm not going to say anything because, but people are just really stupid. And I think, I hope you never reproduce because, you're not handling that dog very well.
Right, a human or a dog.
Correct. So tell me, what is Positive Tails doing for Spay and Neuter Month?
I don't even know if November is Spay or Neuter Month, but we're making it.
Yes, you are. Yes. Well, that's what I meant for you. No, I don't know if it is either.
I was like, is it?
No, it's you.
Okay.
That's yeah. No, you are starting it. Yes.
So we are doing a Spay and Neuter-a-thon. And I think we came upon the idea of just because of you hear about all the adopt-a-thons and how amazing that is when you hear those numbers.
Yes.
But then, of course, there's still going to always be plenty of animals to adopt. But let's get to the heart of the issue.
Right.
And make less cats and dogs that do need homes.
Correct.
And so what we're doing is we are partnering with, at this point, we probably have about 30 clinics around the city.
That's
for
awesome.
Generously donating 40 of those procedures.
That's very nice.
Setting it on the record.
Wow, that's nice.
So what we're partnering with all these private clinics who are giving us spots. So either for free or extremely low cost.
Right.
So
which is very important.
Yeah. And so they're
that's
all
key.
over the city. So based on where people are located, we're sending them to different spots. And our original goal was to do 100, but now we're off to well over 200 spots
great.
at this point.
That's awesome.
So, and hopefully maybe we'll make it to 3.
That's great. So now if someone who's listening and who's in the area, can they see where the clinics are by going to positivetails.org or
they would contact us
or just contact you?
Yeah, we would, and we have an application where because we are targeting people who financially need the service.
Right. And where would they how would they contact you or get in touch?
Yeah, they could get in touch on our website. And there'll be our email and our phone number, and we can send them our application, which takes about 3 minutes to fill out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay. And that's at positivetails.org, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So the other part about spaying and neutering that we didn't really touch on, and I think a lot of people don't think about it, is the fact that dogs and cats get euthanized. Right?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit, not about the horrors of it, but the fact that it is a fact, and people, I think, don't think about it.
Well, I think they don't want to.
They
think
don't
about
want
it.
to.
They want to see the cute puppies and cute kittens, or even the adult dogs and cats, but they don't want to think about the fact that if they go and buy a dog, instead of going to the local shelter or rescue group, there are finite resources currently, especially in New York City. Finite resources, finite space. So the older, or maybe the ones with the chronic illnesses that could otherwise be managed. They're being put to sleep. And, we use terms like put to sleep because it makes people feel better, but they're killed.
Correct.
Which is sad.
Terrible. Yeah. No, it's very sad. And I think people don't think about that. And I think people think, oh, well, we can just drop it off at, a shelter or a rescue. And many of them won't take it. Like, I know that happens in springtime when all the cats and all the kitties are being born, and people, well, what do I do with them? Well, why didn't you spay your cat? Right.
Or the holidays where it's a great idea to open up a gift and it's a living creature.
The worst thing.
It's a dog or a cat that needs to be cared for, and then they lose interest after the holidays. Well, we'll just bring it to the shelter. And they just tell themselves that the dog or cat will be adopted, and that's not always the case.
It's not always the case.
No, it's
not always the case. And I know in the fact with the city shelters, like I know people who don't realize that they don't have a choice because they're city shelters, and it's like that around the country. A city shelter has to take the cats and dogs, even if they don't have the room. Right. So how are they going to make room? They have to euthanize, and people don't think about that, want to think about it, but it's really the cold, hard truth. So, if there's no other reason to spay and neuter your dog or cat, that really is the reason.
Correct.
And you're very right. You should just go to shelter, because I don't understand, and I think it's getting better. But I think, and I want you guys to talk to me about your feelings on this, that people still, because I've heard it from people who might say it to me, that, well, if you go to a shelter, I don't really want a damaged dog or cat. Like, I know you shook your head.
Yeah.
So, but you've heard it, right? We've all heard it. Do you feel like it's gotten a little bit better?
I mean, I do think, I think the awareness has really increased. I mean, especially for cats, maybe more than dogs. I feel like sometimes people have this notion of like a dog that they had as a child that
Right.
they really want again. But I definitely think the word is getting out there. But, also the pet stores, unfortunately,
Yeah.
make it really easy.
Yeah.
And so like
The
it's,
worst.
We just met somebody recently. He was 14 years old
Mm-hmm.
and just went to a pet store near his house and just bought a dog. And then he's obviously he ran into us, one of our mobile vans somewhere, and was begging us for help because his parents didn't want the dog, and they said if you could figure everything out. But how did that pet store sell a 14-year-old?
Yeah, exactly. How did that happen?
He had money,
He had money.
right?
Exactly.
And that's the sad part of
Yeah,
it. It's just
yeah. He had
purely
money.
business.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, and
But there are also people breeding in their homes.
Get closer to
There are
Mike.
people
Yeah,
breeding
yeah.
in their homes, and
Right.
that same factor. They may not have a criteria, so someone comes in and they have the cash, so they'll sell them a puppy.
Sure.
And who knows? It's so layered. If to walk into a shelter is not necessarily all, cuteness and
Right.
roses.
Right.
And, it's not the puppy dressed up with a little bow.
Right. Like it is
And then-
online.
right.
And people
And
like, oh,
so
yeah,
you
which
may
is
not
fake
be able
anyway.
to
Correct.
interact with the dog or cat
Sure.
to the extent to get to know this animal who's probably freaked out anyway in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
But there is, like Erica's saying, there is more awareness.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
a lot of rescue groups go to these shelters, these kill shelters, and they pull
them out.
25
Exactly.
dogs, as many cats as they can to their capacity, but the organizations can't afford
Right.
what they take on either.
Sure.
And we've helped them also with spay and neuter because it's this whole cycle of how do you stop the madness? I mean,
Yeah.
I think the spay neuter thing is how.
Yeah, I think
And
so
the
too.
awareness of, the shelters bringing out dogs and cats to show people they're not damaged. They just didn't get a chance.
Right.
And maybe
Right.
their chances were many because they were adopted by the same type of person that didn't have the commitment.
Sure.
So
Sure.
then it just keeps getting worse.
Right.
It's like the child in foster care.
Right.
It doesn't mean the child is bad.
Right. It
So-
it could just be
right.
bad circumstances that
Correct.
happen to the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the
Yeah.
animals. Yeah.
Which is why this is so important. And
Yeah.
the awareness of spay neuter
Mm-hmm.
being like just kind of a household term. If we can really promote that more and more,
Right.
how great would that be to have
Yeah.
this be a regular event and people start to maybe become accountable. Maybe veterinarians will be accountable for how much they can price gouge people for spay and neuter. Like there's so many things that could come from this.
Sure.
I
Sure.
think it's
No.
all good.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And I think just from a veterinary perspective
Uh-huh.
and a business owner, yes, veterinary hospitals are businesses. Right?
Sure.
That
Right.
doesn't make them evil or bad.
No. It's a business like everything else.
But
Yeah.
you have to give back.
Right.
You absolutely have to give back. And if it were somehow required to get a license in New York City
Mm-hmm.
to practice veterinary medicine, that you have to do one day doing spays and neuters per year, we would empty the shelter. We would have no problems doing all of these low cost spays and neuters. And that would, what would it be for one?
Right. That's
One
very
day each.
interesting for all the animal hospitals, say in the metropolitan area.
Everyone. It would
Right
be
to
easy.
do that.
Whereas now you have, instead of everyone doing a little, you
Right.
have a smaller amount of people doing a lot, and that caused them to become overwhelmed.
Sure. How could we get that started? That's very interesting that you say that. Like, I mean, that not that it's a requirement, but maybe to make it like a requirement that.
Well, I'll tell you, this
Okay.
whole spay neuter-a-thon is
Uh-huh.
Erica's brainchild.
Uh-huh.
And it really has been wonderful, kind of just riding in the wake and helping
Mm-hmm.
however I can. But this, if we had her contact every animal clinic in the New York City area,
Everybody would be doing
or,
it.
Or maybe go to our city association and say it needs to be mandatory. Ultimately, they can't say no to her.
Right, right.
She's persistent.
She's persistent and has that charm,
so
so they
annoying.
right,
Yes.
right. No, you're not annoying. You're
Not at
charming, so
all,
they
no.
go, okay, we'll do it. No, it's true.
No, I mean, I do, from what Brett's saying, I do wish the city was paying a little more attention to it,
Yeah.
Like I don't, because veterinarians, a lot of them are small businesses, so
Sure.
I don't necessarily think it should be on them
Of
completely.
course.
But,
Of course.
But I think like our city, as amazing as it is, and I think we have a really high pet owning population. I think 50% of households in New York City own pets.
Right.
I think we of all the major cities, spend the least money the city spends the least money per animal.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so, what if the city made deals with these clinics for like a certain stipend or something
Right.
like that to like get people in? Because what I found when I contacted these clinics, I thought it was going to be a really hard
thing to
convince
do.
them.
Yeah.
But the ones who said yes, not only said yes, they were so excited to say yes.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I was just so, I couldn't believe it.
Right,
Like, I thought
right.
it was
You were
gonna be
probably
like-
surprised by the
I thought it was
reaction.
going to be like
yeah.
3 and
Yeah.
really-
Like, oh, well, we would, but
Right.
right. So, are there any? Do you know if there are any other cities like around the country that have that? It's not like an enforcement, but maybe like a requirement. I don't know.
I have not heard of that.
No, me neither.
It's just something I always wondered, like if it
Right,
just
if
was a
Eric is
requirement
doing
for
it,
the-
right.
right, and just sick Erica on it.
Yeah.
just going to be the mayor. I'm a single issue mayor.
Right. I think we can make you mayor, and then in a few years we're going to make you president, and then you can get it in every city around the country.
I don't want that job.
We'll be your staff.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think it's very good. Well, I'm excited for Spay Neuter Month
Yes.
and what's coming.
We're calling it. We're calling it New York City's Fix.
Oh, I love it. That's very clever.
so-
Did you come up with that?
I mean, maybe.
I think you did.
Think she did. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay.
usually come up with the clever
Yeah,
taglines.
she's the clever.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I know in December you have a fundraiser happening.
We
Yes. So let's
do.
tell me all about that.
Well, they're so exciting. How many fundraisers have we had so far?
We've probably. I mean, honestly, since they are the hardest thing of all the things we do.
Of course,
organize.
it's a lot of planning and it's a lot.
Once
yes,
a year
it's
we
a
have.
once a year.
usually
It's a
by
lot.
The end of year,
Okay.
year's end.
So, do you have the date for this one?
It is December 15th.
Okay,
It's a Sunday.
it's a Sunday,
6 o'clock.
and what's the time? 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
And where is it?
It's at Littlefield
Okay.
in Brooklyn
Okay.
in Gowanus.
Oh, Gowanus is the hot neighborhood
Yes,
now
it
in
is.
Brooklyn. Look at that.
Right around the block from Berg.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
We're cool.
You are cool. You are cool. That's why Gowanus is cool, because that's where Verg is.
That's right.
So, okay. So tell me about the fundraiser.
So it's a little both. It's to celebrate what we hope will be a really exciting. It's going to be post Spay Neuter-a-thon. So we're going to celebrate.
Celebrate that.
And we're going to obviously inviting everyone who participated in it, just to celebrate that. And of course, we're always trying to make the next funds, because Spay Neuter-a-thon 2025 is only 11 months later.
Right.
So
Okay. Okay. So and it's open to the public.
it is.
It's open to public.
Yeah, we will be selling tickets on our website and through.
Okay. And when will that start? Do you know? Any idea?
I believe that will start this weekend.
Okay. So
I don't take care of that. But
okay. All right. So okay. So when people are listening to this, they can get tickets at positivetails.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
And probably find out more details on our social media. Which
Okay.
Is,
And
Positive
you're
Tails.
on Facebook? Yes.
We're on Facebook.
And you on Instagram?
We are on Instagram.
You're
I
on
would say-
Instagram,
I would say
okay.
That's what we update the most.
Okay, that's good to know. So you
Yeah.
do the most on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And we
Oh.
welcome corporate sponsorships.
Yes.
Oh, good.
That's kind of
Good
my.
segue.
That's a
my
very good
side.
segue.
So we have
Okay.
great partners at Verg that are very supportive of Positive Tales over the years, but we're always looking for other corporate sponsors, and they can absolutely reach out to us. And especially if you're local in the neighborhood, we've had TD Bank, we have our Lab Antec, even our crematory, who takes care of that final
Sure.
peaceful transition of our pets. They contribute, but if you're in the neighborhood, everyone loves to see that you're supporting a
Local.
pet issue.
Yeah, and a
right?
pet issue.
And
yeah.
it's local.
Yeah. It's local. That's big. That's very big.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I think our city could agree. And one thing we probably all could agree on is, well, most of us, that cats and dogs are very important. to
They are very
a
important.
lot of people in the city.
They are. Weren't they just talking with the city's going to pass a thing that you can take a sick day
I saw that.
for your pet? If
No
your
way, I
pet's
didn't
sick,
see
yes.
That's great.
Yes, I saw it last week. Yes.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah, and somebody in the hallway asked me if I had heard it. I'm like, yeah, I had. But, I think it's great.
Yeah, that's very good.
Even if they're ill?
If your pet's ill, like if your dog is sick, you take a sick day from work, but it doesn't get. It's like it's an allowed pet sick day as opposed to your personal day.
That's great. I just want to
think
tell
that's
all
cool.
the Verg employees you
Right.
work at an animal hospital, so you don't get off. You can just bring your pet to work. Just want to clarify.
I knew he was going to say that. I just had a feeling.
It doesn't apply to them.
That's great. Well, I guess it would make sense if you work in an animal hospital and you're a vet or a vet tech.
I need the day off
Right.
with my animal there.
Right.
At my apartment.
You can bring your sick pet to work, but you can't take off for that.
That is
That's
so
great.
funny.
That's great. All right. So, let's start with Kathy. Any closing comment or remark for someone who's listening right now? About anything.
Spay and neuter your dog and cat.
Okay, very good.
And
I knew it would be
donate
that.
to Positive Tails.
Okay, that's perfect. Oh, yes, that's a big thing, by the way. I'm
Yes,
sorry to interrupt you.
donate.
So, so you do, obviously, you guys run everything on donations.
Everything.
So if someone's
Yes.
listening right now and they have an extra few bucks, they can make a donation at positivetails.org, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And think about adopting a
Yes.
dog or cat.
Yes. Adopt, don't
Because
shop.
The shelters and the organizations are overflowing
Yes.
and need support. And if you can't adopt, you can volunteer, you can foster,
Mm-hmm.
you can donate. There's so many things to do to support rescued animals in New York
Okay.
City or in your local city, wherever.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Erica?
My advice would be, like maybe talk to your neighbors, and if you think of that somebody's relinquishing an animal and you think you could help them
Mm-hmm.
figure out a way, judgment free. Like maybe they're relinquishing their cat because their cat is spraying.
Right.
Why don't you try to help them find, instead of being upset with them, why don't you try to help them
A
find
solution.
a solution,
Yeah.
like a neuter appointment or something like that, or teach them about organizations like ours,
Mm-hmm.
because there are a lot of organizations doing this work.
Right.
And there are resources if you educate people on them.
Right. That to make other alternatives to giving your animal away. Yeah. And Dr. Brett?
For me, really, it's just a big thank you to everyone who's ever donated to Positive Tails, whether it's financially or donated their time or services. One of our missions is to help families with pets with emergencies that have a good prognosis that they couldn't otherwise afford care. As an emergency doctor, I speak for myself and for my emergency team. There's nothing more heartbreaking than a pet coming in. You can help them. And were it not for Positive Tails, we would have to put them to sleep.
Sure.
And that takes a toll on the family. Obviously, the pet has to be put to sleep. And then for the veterinarians, it's devastating.
Of course it is.
We care about all of the
Sure.
pets. So just a really big thank you. All of the previous donors have just allowed us to do so much for helping these pets that we know we can help.
Right.
And they've allowed us to do that.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here and coming. So Dr. Brett Levitsky, Erica Kubersky, and Kathy Galati. You will come back again. We're not going to wait 6 years, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for being here in the studio and
having
talking
us.
and
Yes,
taking the
thank
time.
you.
Thank you. Good luck with your
Thank
Spay Neuter
you.
month. What, New York City Fix? You said Fix it New York City. What did you say it was?
The fix is in.
The fix is in. Well, it's good. We're coming up with all these slogans.
Yes.
So yes.
Tell me what you think.
Okay. And
We need
Positive
t-shirts.
Tails. Yes, that would be a
Right.
great idea. And we can sell
There's
those.
some bandanas in the works. so-
Okay.
Oh, good. And so listeners can also go to your Instagram to see if you have those bandanas when you decide.
yes.
Yes. But they can go to positivetails.org to get more information and if they want to donate, if they want to volunteer, or if they want to come to the fundraiser on December 15th.
Yes, that would
So
be
good luck
amazing.
with that.
We
yes.
hope you can come.
I'm going to try to come.
Nice.
I will.
That'd
be
Okay.
great.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.